All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our board meeting scheduled for September 14th, and the first one during the actual in-person school year. So with that, I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask everybody to please stand for the flag salute. I'm going to assume that we have one right over Mr. Boyce's right shoulder, and Mr. Puntillo as well. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody.
Derek,
Yes.
It's the 15th, not the 14th.
Oh, 15. Thank you. I'm a day late. Day late and $1 short.
All the time.
Please note that adequate notice of this meeting in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, entitled the Open Public Meetings Act, has been provided by action of the Board of Education at its regular meeting on December 10th, 2019, and notices to the Courier News and Star Ledger circulated in the school district, and a posted notice to this effect on the Board of Education website and building bulletin board, administrative headquarters, 51 West Cliff Street, Somerville, New Jersey. Mr. Boyce, may we have a roll call, please?
Sure, I'm going to temporarily stand in for him here when the mic gets open. So, Mrs. Matthews.
Here.
Mr. Carlson.
Here.
Mrs. Olson.
Here.
Mr. Puntillo.
Here.
Dr. Saden.
Here.
Mr. Kimick.
Here.
Mrs. Van Horn.
Here.
Mr. Gio.
Present.
Mr. Jess.
Here.
Mrs. Fabrizi.
She did indicate she was going to be late this evening.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Tian / Mr. Boyce. With that, we're going to go on to public comment. If there are any comments related to agenda items at this time, Ms. McEntee will provide them to us. And there's Mrs. Fabrizi.
6:33. I think she's on the phone with Mr. Boyce. There are no public comments at this time.
None? Okay. So with that, may I have a motion to close the public comment portion, please?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Puntillo. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. All right. Moving on, we have the approval of the minutes for the August 18th regular meeting and executive session. May I have a motion for those, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Van Horn. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. All right. Under Board President's report, I just want to welcome everybody back to the school year 2020-2021 and say that I believe so far it's been a very good opening, thanks to all the efforts of Dr. Tian, Mr. Boyce, Ms. McEntee, Ms. Stager, and the whole team. They've done a really great job. I've heard a lot of compliments from staff and students and residents of both Branchburg and Somerville. So congratulations to you guys for doing a really good job of getting everything moving in this difficult time. And with that being said, I will turn it over to Dr. Tian.
Okay, so we're going to do something we haven't normally done before in our September board meeting. Normally, we don't have our student board reps do any kind of presentation in September. They usually don't start till October. But Karen Matthews wanted to share some news with everyone and some stories. So she asked me today if she could join. I told her sure. So I'm going to temporarily turn it over to her.
Okay. Hello.
Everyone else mute their mics.
Okay. So I wanted to share some feedback about how reopening has gone, like from a student's perspective. I think that it's gone really well. A lot of my peers and friends that I've spoken to are all so happy to be back in school in person, even if it's part-time. They're just really happy to be back Nobody has really any issues with being in person. I think the school has done like a really good job, and our reopening plan was really well put together. We're like everyone's socially distanced, everyone's wearing masks, teachers are enforcing like social distancing in and out of school, like no problems with masks or anything like that. It's been really, really well since school started like a week ago today, I think, right? Yeah, so it's gone really well, and I'm really, really happy that we're back.
Is that it?
Yes, that.
Thank you so much.
And you're happy that you're back for your senior year.
Oh, you're not done. I did not hear anything.
Mr. Sugil said you're glad to be back for your senior year. That's
Can
what.
you turn my volume back up?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kara. I think the next thing we'll do is I'll flip it a little bit. Instead of doing the 5-year strategic plan, since we started talking about the school, I'll go into the district highlights. For Vanderveer, the teachers and staff members have been planning, collaborating, and preparing for the return of the students, both in person and virtually. A number of Vanderveer teachers served on the subcommittees for the district's Rollback, Restart, and Recovery Plan. The maintenance and custodial crews have done an amazing job cleaning, waxing floors, moving furniture, and installing hand sanitizing stations in order to open up the school building. And they did that across the district. It was a monumental undertaking, and they did a fantastic job. On August 24th, the kindergarten through 3rd grade teachers attended an in-person training at Vanderveer for delivering phonics instruction using foundations. Then on August 25th, the VDV teachers attended a virtual training for delivering guided reading instruction given by the American Reading Company. These mark the initial professional development opportunities provided to the teachers, and they will continue to learn in these areas throughout the school year. On behalf of the teachers and staff of VDV, they would like to extend their appreciation and gratitude for the assistance in getting computer devices and supplies to our virtual student cohorts, and they want to wish everyone a great school year. For Somerville Middle School, the PTO, they designed and delivered SMS Bulldog logo masks to all SMS staff in a show of support and appreciation for teachers' efforts to provide in-person instruction. The SMS teachers are accessing and utilizing the new state-of-the-art poster maker, which is located in the main lobby, the main office, in their efforts to print rich posters that will enhance the student learning environment. And several SMS parents sent thank you and congratulatory emails to the SMS administration on how well and smooth the first day of virtual and in-person instruction went. And having been outside of Vanderveer, for the last week, I've heard the same comments from parents as they pulled up. For Vanderveer High School, they were happy to welcome the class of 2024 and new students to their orientation program on Monday, August 24th and Tuesday, August 25th. The orientation was organized into 4 separate sessions, and they were over a 2-day period. The program began with an informational presentation by the high school administration in the auditorium, and that was followed by a self-guided tour by students. And the students received a packet containing a new school ID, schedule, locker, and the student portal login information. They also received a class of 2024 t-shirt from the SHS PTO. Thank you to all for making it a great 2 days for our new kids. And congratulations to the Somerville High School teacher of ESL, Mickey Kobos. She was selected as the Somerset County Teacher of the Year. Very well deserved. And that concludes district highlights. So moving on to the strategic plan presentation, I'm going to share my screen and hopefully it'll work. Okay, so this is our 5-year strategic plan, which will run from 2020 to 2025. Just want to start off talking about the process. This year, as everyone's aware, COVID-19 really put a wrench in the whole works. So the things that had been planned in trying to create the strategic plan had to be revamped and kind of switched into a different direction. So one of the things that we did was we created a pretty extensive survey that really gave us really rich information from the parents, the students, staff members, community members, basically everyone that participated gave us information that really helped to give us insights into what people were thinking that were important for our district. After we got all the survey data, the next thing we did was we analyzed that data, and it was a lot of information. And then, as the good old researchers, we grouped the data, and it's called coding the information. So we coded the data, and we broke it down basically into groups. So we looked for some similarities within the information and then grouped it together. And then the whole administrative team got together, and we looked at our mission statement, what it currently was. And then we also looked at all of the data from the surveys and started to talk about and develop themes. And then from that, we took those themes, the ones that were popped out that were the strongest, and we identified the goals for the 2021 school year. So to talk about the mission statement, because our mission statement is really what we should be always focusing on in everything that we do. Our current mission statement was Somerville Public Schools provide the highest quality education through an environment that promotes individual excellence for all. And we truly believe in this, and we thought this was a great mission statement, but we felt that it could be enhanced based upon all the information that we read through all the surveys. So from that, we're proposing a new mission statement that is a little more detailed. And so it's Somerville Public Schools provide the highest quality education that promotes individual excellence, whole child development, and equity for all students. So that would be the mission statement that we would be looking to as we move forward. And every time we're undertaking something, we would be looking back to this to make sure that we're following our mission. So I want to get into the data a little bit to give everyone an overview of what was collected. So one of the questions focused on priority issues. And so the top 4 priority issues for the respondents was the number 1 was student mental health services. That rose, and that was throughout many of the questionings that went on, that the student mental health services was the most important thing. The second in the list was providing students internships or some real world experiences. So not just learning things in books, but actually being able to apply it in real life or pseudo real life situations. The next one was preparation of students for careers. I know schools commonly talk about college being the most important thing, but we started seeing actually a higher interest in students actually being prepared for careers. And that doesn't mean that college is not important, it is, but they want also not just to focus on, getting kids into college, but making sure that kids have a career path. And then the fourth top one was improving existing instructional programs. So really doing a reflection on what we have currently in place and seeing how we can improve it. For the survey data of skills for future success, the top 3 things that they feel that students should be improving in and skills that they should have in their tool belts is communication skills was the top, problem solving, critical thinking skills was second, and interpersonal skills was third. For issues facing students, these are the things that students struggle with every day. And that would be negative pressure, and that can come from so many different avenues. It could come from peers, it could come from adults, it could come from just personal within themselves, pressures that they put upon themselves or how they view themselves, and also bullying. Mental health was the second one, and not learning how to fail. So in other words, students, they know how to be successful, but they're not really skilled and experienced in learning how to fail successfully and learning from those. And this, as a general areas of importance, I listed the top 7, and the number 1 was at-risk students. They felt that that was the most important thing when you're looking generally, like with an overall umbrella. Preparing students for careers, as I already said, social emotional learning, safety and security, music, arts and related arts, extracurricular activities, and mentoring. So using all of that information, as I said, we took all the data that was part of the surveys and we compiled it with codes, and then we developed themes. The existing themes have been these 3 areas: building cultural competency, preparing for college and career, and growing professional development opportunities. Now, what we're proposing is to actually now have 4 themes because of the data that we collected. These 4 stood out as being the strongest. The number 1, not necessarily in this order, but the first one is the first one, and that was supporting social, emotional, and mental health needs. The second one was taking what we had already started over the last 5 years of building cultural competency, and that was desired to be continued, and then to also add in equity. And then the third one was providing student-centered counseling services, supports, guidance, and programs. And then the fourth one, which, a lot of times people, it's understood we're an educational institution. So the thing that we are all obviously focusing on is student academic achievement. But it was believed from all the survey results that that should be a theme that is explicit within the things that we are focusing on over the next 5 years. So that would be the fourth theme that we would be adding in. So looking at the district goals based upon those 4 themes, looking at the first one of supporting social, emotional, and mental health needs, we're proposing the first one should be implement the second step program for grades K to 8 and teen mental health first aid for grades 9 through 12. So it's basically using our existing resources and using a more structured program. And I know Mr. Pintillo shared some of the things that were going on in one of the PE classes that he had the opportunity to observe. And part of that is some of these elements. So we're already starting to see some of that being infused. The next one was building cultural competency and equity. And so this is creating equity teams in each school building, which we've had discussions about. We had a district-wide equity team, but every building is different. So the goal will be to break down and create equity teams within each building while training a cohort of high school teachers in the restorative practices model. The third one, under providing student-centered counseling services, supports, guidance, and programs, that would be to develop career profiles for students starting in grades 6 and going up to grades 12. And in conjunction with the guidance counselors, providing individual and small group counseling sessions along with conducting classroom visits. So not just seeing students within the guidance departments, but actually seeing them within the classroom, seeing the challenges, seeing the areas that are of interest to students. So that will help better inform the counselors to guide students in a career profile for themselves. And the fourth one would be improving student academic achievement, and that is implementing benchmark assessments in language arts and mathematics in grades K to 12 and to track student progress. So those would be stop presenting. So those would be the mission statement along with the goals that we would be looking at for each one of the 4 themes. And any questions on the 5-year strategic plan? I'll take that as a no then. Mr. Jess is laughing.
Everybody was so riveted that they have no
is there-
questions.
Is there anywhere in the agenda tonight that we pass a resolution and accept the mission statement as proposed?
Yes, it would be for the mission statement and goals.
Is it in the agenda already for us to approve tonight?
Yes, it is.
I didn't see it. Okay, thank you.
Should be. Let me double check. Yes, Dan, it's number 6 under the curriculum section. So it's on page 6, if that helps. At the very top, at least on my paper.
District goals.
Well, it's district goals.
Yeah, I think we should have a special resolution to approve the mission statement. That's real big.
Then Dan, bring that up under new business.
Okay, I will.
All right. Anything else, Dr. T?
No, that concludes it for me.
Great. Thank you. Nicely done. With that, we will move on to finance, and I will ask Mr. Carlson to move those items, please.
Certainly will. First, I'd like to add that I do have a son in the middle school and a daughter in high school, and they were both very pleased the way things have transitioned, and my congratulations to the entire staff and administration for both schools. You did a fine job. Under finance, it is recommended and moved that items 1 through 7 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Item 1 being the board secretary financial reports. Item number 2, the acceptance of the monthly reports. Item number 3, payroll. Item number 4, the bills list. Item number 5, line item transfers. Item number 6 is a Sanofi grant to science for 10V labs. Item number 7 is the purchase of Chromebooks, 160 Samsung Chromebooks, 4+ devices.
Thank you. May I have a second for that, please?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews. Is Mr. Boyce back on the...
I do not believe so, so I still have the paper, so I guess it's me.
Yes, it's you. Dr. Tina, would you please do a roll call, please?
Sure. First, Mrs. Matthews,
Yes.
Mr. Carlson,
Yes.
Mrs. Olson, Mrs. Olson,
Yes.
Mr. Pintillo,
Yes.
Dr. Staden,
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Sergio. I saw your mouth move, yes. Mr. Jess.
Yes.
Okay, it is also recommended that items 8 and 9 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Item number 8 was the bills list for the high school, and item number 9, the athletic training agreement between Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital and Somerville Board of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. May I have a second on that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews. Any discussion? Dr. King, can we have roll call, please?
Mrs. Matthews,
Yes.
Mr. Carlson,
Yes.
Mrs. Olson,
Yes.
Mr. Pintillo. Okay, thumbs up. Dr. Saden,
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Sergio. Did he give me a thumbs up? No, Mr. Sergio. Oh, thumbs up.
So now he's not on mute, but he's not speaking.
Go figure. Mr. Jazz
Yes.
and Mrs. Fabrizi.
Yes.
And I think I'm turning this over to Mr. Boyce. He texted me and said he's ready to roll. So I'm going to leave the screen for a second.
Thank you. Dr. Teen, if the superintendent job doesn't pan out, you can always become a business administrator. So that was good.
Okay.
Moving on to the next session policy, I'll turn it over to Mrs. Olson.
Resolved that the Board of Education approve the following policy for a second reading, and that is T6173.1, which has to do with remote learning.
And is there item number 2?
No.
Or no? Okay.
So moved.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yep.
There is a number 2.
Okay, hold on, number 2.
Sorry.
Okay.
Adoption of all of our bylaws, which we do routinely.
Great. Thank you. May I have a second on that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Van Horn. Any discussion? All right, Mr. Boyce, can we have a roll call, please?
Maybe not.
Aren't Zoom meetings so much fun? Hate them.
Alrighty then. I gave the paper, so I will just go around the screen if it's all right. Mrs. Matthews,
Yes.
Mr. Sergio. Okay, thumbs up. Mr. Jess,
Yes.
Mrs. Fabrizi.
Yes.
He gave me the sheet, like that helped. Mr. Kimmick,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Pintillo,
Yes.
Mr. Carlson,
Yes.
Dr. Staten,
Yes.
Mrs. Olson.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Moving on to curriculum and Mrs. Van Horn.
The curriculum committee met on August 18th. We discussed various curriculum documents that are coming up for adoption tonight. We had an update on the success of the CARES tutoring program. We talked about the approval of the PD plan and the mentor plan, book club approval. We discussed the school committee support and plan for a PD day. We discussed hiring and new teacher training, and the ARC, which is the American Reading Company training and foundations training that were coming up for Vanderveer. And, oops, I'm sorry, turned the wrong page. One second here, sorry, I got lost. Okay. It is recommended that items 1 and 2 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Number 1 is the approval of curriculum maps for Vanderveer Elementary School for the Gifted and Talented program, the Spanish scope and sequence, grades K to 5, and the ELA update for grades K to 5. Number 2 is the approval of curriculum maps for Somerville Middle School that are for media literacy and technology, mathematics, and algebra 1.
Great. Thank you. May I have a second on that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Matthews. Any discussion? Dr. Sheehan?
Okay, Mrs. Matthews,
Yes.
Mr. Carlson,
Yes.
Mrs. Olson,
Yes.
Mr. Pintillo,
Yes.
Dr. Staten,
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Sergio, Mr. Sergio,
I think he's frozen.
I think he's asleep.
okay. Mr. Jess,
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, it is recommended that items 3 through 6 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Number 3 is the approval of curriculum maps for Somerville High School for Algebra 1, Pop Culture, syllabus for Computer Science, the syllabus for AP Research, Intro to Programming, Cybersecurity Update, Advanced Game Design, and ELA for grade 11. Number 4 is to approve an independent study for student number 202708 at Somerville High School. Number 5 is to approve an independent study for student number 202780 at Somerville High School. And number 6 is to approve the district goals for the 2020-21 school year.
Thank you. May I have a second on those items, please?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Matthews.
It's
Any
Dr.
discussion?
Staten.
Any discussion?
Yes. It's Melissa, not Candace.
All right, I got you. Don't worry.
yeah, I put it down. I got that.
Can we have a roll call, Dr. Team, please?
Sure. Mrs. Matthews,
Yes.
Mr. Carlson,
Yes.
Mrs. Olson,
Yes.
Mr. Pintillo,
Yes.
Dr. Staten,
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Sergio.
He's oh, look at that.
Thumb up. All right. Mr. Jess,
Yes.
Mrs. Fabrizi.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Moving on to buildings and grounds, Mr. Pantillo.
Yes, Dr. Han earlier in the meeting basically gave the buildings and grounds report. I do want to tell you that the report written is much more in depth than usual. I've been around the buildings a lot since March, and I will tell you that the maintenance crew and under Mr. Gabriel has done a phenomenal job in making sure our facilities are safe. They're making sure they've installed all kinds of sanitizer stations and cleaning protocols. And my last discussion with Mr. Gabriel after the start of school last week, how are they doing with the maintenance of the schedule for cleaning in between sessions and stuff? And he said they were really on top of it. So I think we need to be very thankful that we have a maintenance crew that is over the top, and we should be in a good place in reference to our buildings being safe. They are taking every effort possible to be sure that the place is clean, it's safe, and that they're doing what they need to do to protect everyone.
Great. Thank you. And I concur with that. They're doing a really great job. So thanks to Mr. Boyce, Dr. Tian, Mr. Gabriel, and everybody else. That's awesome. Moving on, Technology Committee, Mr. Kimmick.
Thank you, Mr. Jess. We had a meeting just this past week, and again, I want to echo everything that everybody else is saying about the opening of schools. I know that a tremendous amount of work went into that with respect to facilities, technology, the staff as a whole, just really working hard to just provide students, I think, the best experience that we can provide under these conditions. And I just want to thank everybody for doing that. With respect to technology, again, I don't know how the technology department figured it out, but they managed to get 160 Chromebooks, new Chromebooks, when nobody else in the area could actually figure that out. And kudos to Melissa and the entire department for just their, I think, diligence in reaching out and continuing to reach out until they could find a vendor that would allow them to make that purchase. And again, I think we talked about the use of the Digital Divide Grant and how that helped facilitate that process as well. So I think we should be really proud of that. This allowed us to have one-to-one really throughout the entire district, and there were a lot of challenges, in July around that, and they did a lot of troubleshooting and a lot of problem solving. And then through the number of, I think they did 3 drive distributions of materials in recent weeks to get materials out to everybody. And Melissa has pointed out that they're getting very good at these drive-by distribution processes. And, that's not something anybody would have thought that we would have been doing last February. But again, I think that they certainly mastered the process for that and making sure that everybody had the devices that they needed for the first day of school, so the hybrid approach could actually, go off as well as it did. And again, I think there are new devices that are on back order as well. We had an update on that. Those will be coming in, and that's going to allow, again, some of these older devices that are currently being used and are being serviced and maintaining that process for everybody. Once those newer devices are in, there'll be another process of actually redistributing those, and that'll allow us to kind of look at our inventory as well and just make sure that we have extras on hand as we go through this process. So I just want to thank everybody again in the technology department. They've done a phenomenal job, I think, in the past, especially a few weeks, making sure that everything was in order for staff and for students to be able to open up the way that we did. So it was a good meeting. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Kimmick. And I also echo his sentiments. If there's some reason that somebody does not have technology, it is not through the fault of the district, because the district has gone above and beyond. So again, thank you for that. And just when we thought it was safe and we could move along, Mr. Sergio rejoined the meeting. So now we're going to turn it over to him for an Athletics and Student Activities Committee report, if there is one.
It is limited to 1 minute.
We cannot hear you.
All right.
We can see you, but we cannot hear you.
Yay.
I think we should all do that every single time. Pretend like we can't hear him, but really.
Wait, his technological advisor is there, and I bet you she'll figure it out. All right, so Luke, we will put your report on the back burner for now, and if you work out your technology inefficiencies, we will bring you back later on. And therefore, we'll move to Dr. Tien and personnel.
Okay, resolve the Board of Education approve and or accept the following appointments upon recommendation of the superintendent of schools. Appointments and salaries are contingent upon verified documentation. Number one, the listed staff members to be the position of grade level leader at Vanderveer. Number two, approve the appointment of all of Vanderveer Elementary PS5 staff members to the position of AM, PM school monitors on an as-needed basis. Number three, to approve the appointments of the individuals for the Title I Summer Reading Program, which was held August 3rd through August 19th. Number four, the listed staff members to the position of counselor for Camp SMS. That was held on Wednesday, August 26th and Thursday, August 27th. We approve Randy Johnson to serve in the capacity of SMS staff for the Camp SMS at Somerville Middle School, which was held on Wednesday, August 26th and Thursday, August 27th. Number six, to accept the resignation of Jennifer Ring, which will be effective October 16th. Number seven, to approve the appointment of the staff members listed to the position of yearbook publications co-advisors at Vanderveer Elementary School. Number eight, to approve the unpaid child care leave of absence for Jennifer Mitchell. Number nine, to approve the FMLA, FFCRA leave for Jennifer Mitchell. Number 10, to approve the FMLA, FFCRA leave for Dale Reevy. Number 11, to approve the unpaid child care leave of absence for John Floyd. Number 12, to approve the FMLA, FFCRA leave for Ashley Haggerty. Number 13, to approve the FMLA, FFCRA leave for Jennifer Ferguson. Number 14, to approve the FMLA, FFCRA leave for Barbara Glinka. Number 15, to approve the FMLA, FFCRA leave for Jessica Myers. Number 16, to approve the FMLA, FFCRA leave for Donna Lizito. Number 17, to approve the appointment of Douglas Rajevitz to the leave replacement position of teacher of vocal music at Somerville Middle School. Number 18, to approve the appointment of Sarah Harrington to the leave replacement position of teacher of science at Somerville Middle School. Number 19, to approve the appointment of Jenna Lee Staves to the leave replacement position of teacher of special education LLD at Somerville Middle School. Number 20, to approve the appointment of Daniel Pangello to the position of teacher of language arts at Somerville Middle School to fill a vacancy caused by a transfer. Number 21, to approve the appointment of Dana Spano to the position of teacher of special education at Somerville Middle School, which was caused by resignation. Number 22, to approve the appointment of Kayla Jones to the leave replacement position at Vanderveer Elementary School. Number 23, to approve the appointment of Justina Fissler to the leave replacement position at Vanderveer Elementary School. Number 24, to approve the appointment of Andrew Flanagan to the leave replacement position of teacher of special education at Somerville Middle School. Number 25, to rescind the changes in salary guide placement for Jennifer Ferguson from BA to BA 15. And number 26, to approve the change in the salary guide placement for Jennifer Ferguson effective September 1st from BA to MA. Number 27, to approve an unpaid child care leave of absence for Jennifer Jensen, a secretary at Somerville Middle School. Number 28, to approve the appointment of the listed staff members to serve as members of the school safety climate team at Vanderveer Elementary School for the 2021 school year. Number 29, to approve the listed staff members to serve as members of the school improvement panel at Vanderveer Elementary School for the 2021 school year. Number 30, to approve the appointment of Allison Lozier to the leave replacement position of speech therapist at Vanderveer Elementary School. Number 31, to approve the appointment of the listed staff members to serve as members of the school improvement panel at Somerville Middle School for the 2021 school year.
Thank you. Can we have a motion on those items, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews. May I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Puntillo.
May
Any
I make a
discussion?
remark, please?
I'm sorry?
May I make a remark, please?
You may.
On the personnel items, number 17 and 30 are okay. However, items 18, 19, 20, 23, 24, under the grades below high school, and numbers 37 and 38, which are high school grades, should have the disclaimer prorated next to the salary, because they are not full year appointments.
Yes, and Linda, I did get your message and I made those changes. I did email out an updated one, and I uploaded it to the website as well. So they are actually on the revised agenda. Thank you for pointing that out, though.
Yeah, thank you. All right, any other discussion? Dr. T, can we have roll call, please?
Sure. Mrs. Matthews,
Yes.
Mr. Carlson,
Yes.
Mrs. Olson,
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo,
Yes.
Dr. Sadin,
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Sedil. He's giving a thumb. Okay. Mr. Jess.
Yes.
Okay. For 9 through 12 and district-wide, resolved that the Board of Education approve and/or accept the following appointments upon recommendation of superintendent of schools. Appointments and salaries are contingent upon verified documentation. For number 32, individuals to approve the individuals on the list to serve as members of the school safety climate team at Somerville High School for the 2021 school year. 33, to approve the attached list of individuals to the position of fall game workers at Somerville High School. Number 34, to approve the FMLA, FFCRA leave for Malin Harder at Somerville High School. Number 35, to approve the FMLA, FCRA leave for Rebecca Bell at Somerville High School. Number 36, to approve the FMLA, FFCRA leave for Ellen Stein at Somerville High School. Number 37, to approve the appointment of Namisha Patel to the leave replacement position of teacher of English at Somerville High School. Number 38, to approve the appointment of Catherine Lamorex to the leave replacement position of teacher of English at Somerville High School. Number 39, to approve the appointment of Valentina Carleo to complete her field experience 2 at Jerry Foley. Number 40, to approve the appointment of Madeline Spolarich to the position of volunteer for the field hockey and basketball teams at Somerville High School for the 2021 school year. Number 41, to approve the FMLA, FFCRA leave for Stephen Tucker at Somerville High School. Number 42, to approve the paid medical leave for Stephen Tucker at Somerville High School. Number 43, to approve the appointment of Holly Arnson to the leave replacement position of teacher of biology at Somerville High School. Number 44, to approve the appointment of the attached list of individuals to the position of coach at Somerville High School. Number 45, to approve the appointment of the attached list of individuals to the position of activity and club advisor at Somerville High School. Number 46, to abolish the position of high school clerk supervisor of student activities at Somerville High School effective September 1st. Number 47, to change the position of attendance nurse secretary at Somerville High School from a 10-month to a 12-month position. Number 48, to approve the appointment of Christina Domangala to the leave replacement position of supervisor district-wide. Number 49, to approve the appointment of Christopher Baldino to the position of MAPS coordinator for the 2021 school year. Number 50, to approve the transfer of Isaiah Davenport to the position of instructional assistant for Somerville High School. MD, life skills class, to the position of instructional assistant in the Vanderbilt Elementary School K2 LLD class. Number 51, to approve the appointment of Janet Jacobson to the position of instructor for the Experiencing Art course at the MAPS program for the 2021 school year.
So moved.
Oh,
Second.
thank you.
Who were they, Derek? Sorry.
It was Mr. Shurgiel and Mrs. Van Horn. Any discussion on these items? And we so noted to Mrs. Olson's comment earlier that those items will have the word prorated, have had the word prorated added to them. All right. May we have a roll call, please? Either Mr. Boyce or Dr. Teahan?
Yes, Dr. Teahan, I think I'm okay now.
Woo!
Yay!
All right, last resolution. All right, Miss Matthews,
Yes.
Mr. Carlson,
Yes.
Mrs. Olson,
Yes.
Mr. Puntillo,
Yes.
Dr. Seaton,
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick,
Yes.
Mrs. Van Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Sergio.
Yeah, Brian, I think I'm okay too. Yes.
All right, Mr. Jess,
Yes.
Mrs. Trapezzi.
Yes.
All right, excellent. Moving on to old business, Mr. Shurgiel, if you would like to give your athletics report now, please do so.
All right, thank you, Monsieur President. Good evening, everybody. This will be less than a minute there, Dan, don't you worry. But first, yes, I just wanted to add on to Dan Carlson's comments too, and everyone else's comments that, my son also has come back with some very positive feedback. So I really do want to take my hats off to the district, the administration, staff, teachers, everybody who is going through these times and still, being out there on the front lines to take care of our students. So, but to all of you Somerville fans out there, like always, I'm wishing you, your sons and daughters and families well during these adventurous times. And as best as we can, we are off. The schedules are out and the seasons are starting for the boys and girls teams, soccer, field hockey, tennis, marching band, and let's not forget our Pioneer football team, amongst others. What's actually pretty cool and actually pretty great to note, talking to Director Davis yesterday, was our athletic enrollment is up this year. It's up to 362 from 349. So, and some information for all the parents out there. If you don't know this already, because of NJSIA guidelines, every athlete gets a temperature check upon arrival for games and practices. Every athlete has to submit a COVID-19 questionnaire daily using their own unique student ID. I apologize for the dog. All schedules are online, so you can just go online with the website. And all the games, there is a 500-person capacity. And I think for most sports, that will not have a lot of impact. So get ready to watch some Ville sports. Do it safely. Do it from a social distance. But still, we are slowly getting back. One other thing to note, because what I do like to highlight every year is all of our college signings or college commitments. So the first one is not a full signing yet, but Megan Pedrani will be joining her brother at the West Point Military Academy, and she'll be playing girls lacrosse. So I want to give another hats off to her. Thank you for making that commitment to protect our very blanket of freedom while playing the sport that she loves. And with that said, Monsieur President, back to you.
May I ask a question?
Go ahead.
So regarding the 500-person limit for athletics, will there be any student attendance at games, or is it limited to family? Do we have an answer for that?
I don't have an answer for that. I can get that, but I think that pertains to all persons that are there. That includes football teams and staff. Teams and staff.
Okay.
Select parents, and as long as it does not exceed 500 persons. So I'll get that answer back to you, Candace.
Okay, thank you.
You got it.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think we discussed this last week, and they said that for football, if it was 500, it would be 300 participants from the home side and 200 participants from the visitors side. And that tickets are going to be available online through an app and all those things. So I guess that is TBD, but we all know that as long as NJSIA gets their money, that's all they really care about. So we'll see what happens moving forward.
And I'm not sure if it's a 300-200, Derek, or a 60-40 split amongst what's remaining. So I will get clarification on that as well.
Okay, thank you.
You got it.
The app, they're looking at the app. Tim Davis went and was at a meeting today, but I don't know what the outcome of it was.
All right, great. Just as long as we can provide that information to parents, because you know that they're going to be wanting to come out and cheer their kids on. So we just want to make sure that we have that.
And one more thing, I just want to, because I know my audio is out. I don't know, Candace, if your daughter Kara heard me, but I just wanted to wish her the best of luck in her final year, along with our other seniors.
Thank you. I'll pass the word on.
All right.
Excellent. Is there any other old business?
Yes, I have to first echo what everybody else has said. I want to extend a very deep debt of gratitude to the Central Office Administration, who worked tirelessly and exponential hours all summer long to keep our children safe. I want to thank the teachers. You are frontline heroes, and I thank you for your effort and the compassion and care with which you have come back to school to continue to educate the children of Somerville. Last meeting, there were quite a few emotional sharings that happened. Before we went into executive session, I wanted to make this comment and couldn't find my unmute button fast enough. Ms. Espinoza shared very personal information, and I wanted to thank her for her courage to speak up, to make a point by sharing such important information. I learned something more about her because she had the courage to share something that many people wouldn't. And she's probably not listening tonight, but for the record, I wanted to thank her for showing up and sharing.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Sadin. Anybody, and just to echo one of Dr. Sadin's points, is thanks to all the teachers and for all those staff members that were transferred to new buildings. We'd like to thank you for taking on that new assignment with the best interest of the kids and coming to work with a smile on your face and doing the best that you can. We realize that sometimes it's not the most optimal situation, but we're glad that at least most of you have accepted that and are doing the best that you can. And for those that are still a little, shall we say, bent out of shape about it, I would just ask you to think of the kids that you're going to be serving and the other staff members that you're going to be interacting with on a daily basis, and consider them as well. Because remember, everybody's attitude has an impact on everybody else. And, when we're all in a good frame of mind, there's nothing that we can't and won't do for our kids. And so I just ask you to please remember that as we push forward through this school year, and especially with these times when they keep saying that the pandemic is going to get worse before it gets better. So with that, I'll ask again, is there any other old business? Seeing none, may I have a motion to close the old business portion, please?
So move.
Thank you, Mr. Shugiel. May I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Van Horn. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, moving on to new business. The only thing I have under new business is I like to say to the, thank you to the municipality for the work that they're doing in town. We've noticed that they have started to repair and replace the curbs with handicap accessible curbs, which I think is great for everybody within town. The only thing I would ask is that in the future, if you would please contact the district and talk to them about work that's going to be done around the schools, because it seems that as our first week of school took place, the curbs on Davenport Street started to be replaced, and that kind of wreaked a little bit of havoc with students driving and walking and parents driving and dropping off their children. So I would just ask in the future if you'd give Mr. Boyce and Dr. Tian a call just to let them know as well, so they can be better prepared to plan for items like that. Mr. Puntillo, do you want to move that resolution?
I'd like to move that we approve the proposed mission statement forward.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion on the mission statement? All right.
Wait, yes, sorry,
Yep.
mute button. I just want to say that I love it, and I really appreciate Dr. Tian, the method which you come up with your goals. It is it's a very intelligent and systematic way, and the mission statement reflects that, and I couldn't be happier to support it.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Sadin. Any other comments?
I think it's great.
None. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved on passing of the mission statement. Is there any other new business? Seeing none, may I have a motion to close new business, please?
So moved.
I'm going to say thank you, Mr. Carlson. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. We are now open to the public for agenda and non-agenda item discussions.
So we have 3 comments so far.
Okay.
The first comment is from Pat Frayne at 201 Scobie Lane. The second highest group currently contracting the coronavirus are 14 to 18-year-olds. This is one of the major reasons the Somerville Education Association advocated for temperature testing of everyone coming into all buildings, not just staff. The SEA definitely did not advocate for the purchase of facial recognition equipment at $13,900, especially equipment that doesn't even match the right face to the right name on a very consistent basis. Hopefully the temperatures are right. The second comment is from Denise Lang, 201 Grandview Drive, Neshannock Station, New Jersey. She writes, it has come to the attention of the SEA that there is a high school student awaiting COVID testing results. When the student was in school last week, anyone in the building was potentially exposed. That exposure extends beyond the classroom, into the halls, the stairwell, bathrooms, touching the same surfaces and breathing the same air. Anyone in the building is potentially at risk. The SEA requests clarification about the district protocol for this and all other possible cases. What is the self-reporting requirements for students and staff regarding exposure to COVID, getting COVID tested, and being absent with COVID symptoms? Is exposure to a person with COVID a self-reporting requirement? Is there a requirement for students and staff to report when they get tested? What is the reporting protocol to students and staff about positive test results of others? How is it decided who will be informed? What are the criteria for students to return to school after testing positive for COVID? The SEA requested baseline testing of all staff and students prior to the start of in-person school. Because we don't have this baseline data, it is impossible to rule out that any confirmed cases of COVID of staff or students were acquired at school. The SEA again requests frequent COVID testing requirements of all students and staff. We have another comment here from Kerry Ireland, 96 Ivy Lane, Bridgewater. The SEA would like to thank teachers, instructional assistants, secretaries, and custodians for always going above and beyond. But during this past week, you have outdone yourselves. Now more than ever, self-care is critical while continuing to work for the district. You need to remember to take a coffee break, enjoy a walk, or any other activity that brings you joy. And we just received another one from Aileen Levine in Flemington. She said, I would like to recognize my Somerville teaching staff coworkers who continue to work 24/7 and go over and above in these multifaceted and challenging circumstances, where we are worried about our personal health and the health of our own families, along with our students. And that's all we have for this evening.
Great. Thank you, Ms. McEntee. May I have a motion to close the public portion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Sturgill. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. All right, we will try to provide some information between myself, Dr. Teen, and Mr. Boyce, if possible, to answer the first question. I don't believe that the devices that were placed in the schools are doing facial recognition, because if they were, then I believe they would be printing out the employee's name or the visitor's name, and that would be a very smart device. These devices are designed to take the temperature of the person that is there and to snapshot a picture of that person and provide it to the designated person within that building to show that if I walk in and it has my face there, it'll show my face and then say what my temperature was, if I was wearing a mask or not, but it's not going to put my name up there or provide any personal information. So I know that many school districts are using these devices, and that they have been successful in helping to weed people out, if you will, for those who have a slightly higher temperature, and to stop them from coming into the buildings. So I would ask that everybody try to work together and to utilize these machines for what they were made for, which is to help keep everyone within the building healthy and safe. I don't know if Dr. Tian has anything he'd like to add to that.
No, just that for staff, and they're all aware of this, that they went through the process, which is when they initially walked up to the machine, our tech department members would take a picture of them with the machine. Then when they walk up to the machine, it scans their face to find out if, number one, if they're wearing a mask and who they are. And if it's not somebody who's part of the district, it comes up as stranger. But that's not the main part of the unit. The main part was for temperature taken, and it was a way to do it so that we did not have to dedicate a staff member there, because whether it be a nurse, administrator, whoever it was the design was our staff are professionals, and so they're quite capable of walking up to the machine. And as was already shared, that yes, when somebody has a temperature, it does send an alert. It sends an alert to the school nurses, the principal, the assistant principal of that building, as well as myself and Dr. McDonald, so that we can take the appropriate measures. For visitors, yes, exactly what you said, Mr. Jess. When you walk in, it would scan your face. It wouldn't give you a name because it doesn't know who you are. And I would get a notification saying you're a stranger. But the same thing, if you have a temperature, it would notify me of that as well. And yes, we know you're a stranger.
Not a stranger, I'm just strange. All right, thank you, Dr. Tian. Would you like to address the second comments with regards to self-reporting and the provision of information for if staff and or students or visitors have COVID symptoms or to that information, please?
Yes, it's been in back to our reopening plan. It's been in there. It's been shared with the staff that, we're following the direction from the Department of Health. And as I've shared with the SCA, that I actually meet with, along with all the Somerset County superintendents, every single week we've been meeting over the summer up until I think last week. We took a break from it, but we've been meeting with them every week to get our questions answered, to get directions from them. And it all boils down to the same thing, is that everything is on a case-by-case basis. If something were to pop up, our role is to call them, to present the situation, and then they give us guidance. If there's notifications that need to go out, they would give us that notification as well. Contract tracing is done by them. However, the district does assist them. And like I said, this has all been shared. So, you can't get into the details of every little specific case because everyone's going to be different. And we would follow the guidance by the health department as each one comes up, if any have come up.
Well, and we also need to remember that we can't even provide, if an employee or a student does come down with it, we cannot provide their name or any information, because that would be against the HIPAA laws. And we can only say that there was a student or there was a staff member who had symptoms, and therefore they, have been sent home, and they now must self-quarantine for 14 days and be rechecked again. So we cannot divulge any of that information.
And, we're very aware that people are hypersensitive. So, for all time, we've had kids coming into schools with coughs, same thing as staff members. We're aware of that. The nurses are aware of that. Dr. McDonald is meeting again with the nurses tomorrow to reiterate, the plan and what they should or shouldn't be doing in each case.
Great. Thank you. And then to the last two public comments, we'd like to thank you for your comments regarding the staff and the compliments. We are very happy and proud of our staff for coming in and for doing the best that they can, like they always do, to make sure that not only a good education is provided to our students, but that everybody is safe and healthy. So we thank you for your comments and we echo them. But one group that's always left out, I don't know if it's an oversight or what, is the administration. And so I also want to say thank you to the administration because they worked tirelessly to provide the plan that is needed by state and by county regulation to ensure that the remote learning and in-person learning is taken care of and that everybody is healthy and following the guidelines. So we want to thank the administration as well.
Derek,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I
that's
thought you
okay.
were. I just, of course, echoing everyone's sentiments that we are so happy to be open. The staff, the students, the teachers, the administration, everyone's done a phenomenal job of following the guidelines. And we're just thrilled. And thank you so much. I encourage all of the parents that are watching that are so happy to have your kids back in school, write a thank you sign and put it in your yard. Yards are full of signs. Let's thank all of Somerville for being all in for the Ville. But I did want to just ask you, Dr. Tehan, regarding one of the comments that came up regarding people not feeling well, feeling unwell. The question that I actually have gotten a lot lately is, of course, it's allergy season. Allergy season's kicking up. Kids get coughs, they get sneezes. Everybody's on high alert, and running on edge. So if a student is on an in-person day, but maybe not feeling well, but not feverish, but has a cough or a major allergy attack, can they log in virtually for that day and not be absent?
It will depend really on each building because the way that our virtual classes are set up are different in each building. In some cases that's possible, in some cases it's not. I just was talking with the high school today, and we're meeting tomorrow to discuss this in further detail. So the parents in each of the building will be getting some information on that in our Friday weekly letter that goes out. So we'll summarize that topic, but it'll be very building specific.
Thank you so very much. And by the way, thank you again with the Friday letters. They've been fantastic. You've been so informative, and the administration, applause for them as well. Fantastic job. Thank you.
And Derek, I just want to add in one more thing, because I know the comment was made about a high school student that, it was sent out for testing. The one thing I think that people have to be careful about is making claims like that are basically not substantiated. There's a lot of hearsay that goes on. I actually reached out to some of the administrators in the district asking that question, and it came back that there was not a student sent out. And so, once again, I don't want people to be panicking because someone made a comment that, we as a team in this district take safety and security very seriously. We're on top of things. And that if there were in fact a case, I would have hoped that a staff member, if they had heard that they had went to the administrator in that building and shared that immediately with them instead of waiting till a board meeting. Because then we would have been able to look into the allegation earlier instead of at, 8:40 at night or 7:40 at night. So, but, my reaching out, I don't want parents to sit there and panic now, and because they've been listening to the board meeting and think there is no such case.
Right. Thanks, Dr. And we also need to remember that, when people go out and they get tested or we hope no matter where we are, that people are going to self-report. You may have some people who may have a symptom and they're not going to self-report, and then it's on them. So we just have to make sure that everybody is aware of the need for self-reporting should that need arise. All right. So now be it resolved that the Board of Ed move into recess into executive session to discuss negotiations, a grievance, superintendent miracles, and legal matters falling within the attorney-client privilege with respect to these subjects. The minutes of the executive session, to the extent permitted by law, will be made available to the public once the issues are resolved, subject to confidentiality requirements, and action may be taken. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Pintillo. May I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Matthews, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And we are going in at 7:39 p.m. All right, everybody. May I have a motion to go back into public session, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Denise. May I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Shugil. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, and we were back into public session at 8:29 p.m. And since we have no action items to move on, may I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Olson. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved, and we're adjourned at 8:30. Thank you, everybody.
Good
Night,
night.
everybody.
Night,
Good night,
everybody.
all.
Hey, Bill, I just